welcome to a new year with ClimateTech Roundup. I'm Kat Hunt. I head up Earth Finance's transition finance practice. I'm super excited for this next year. We're going to be bringing on some guest speakers, wading into water and nature tech a lot more, and a few other surprises planned. Today, we're going to be starting off with one of my favorite topics, which is the corporate and technology startup partnership. We've talked about this in previous episodes, but today we really want to talk through what are those financing mechanisms available to make that partnership successful. First and foremost, why do we care so much about the corporate and startup technology relationship? Since 2021 and 2022, there's been a steady decline in investment in climate tech. 2024 being no exception, and in 2025, we definitely expect to see more headwinds. In just the first few days of the Trump administration, clean energy incentives have been threatened. So it's an interesting time in history where we're looking at corporations to take the lead. So today we're going to be talking about the financing mechanisms that can get these partnerships rolling. Getting tactical, the first mechanism is direct development capital through prepayment or low interest loans. The way this would work is the corporation provides a upfront payment before the goods or services are put into place by the startup so that they actually have the funding needed to do the development or do the services in the first place. A great example of this is Google with the startup Holocene, a carbon removal startup. They provided an upfront payment so that Holocene could be funded to do the pilots and tests needed to really serve Google's need. If this sounds financially difficult, there are a couple of ways to strategize this. One is doing this in different installments, so it's not just one lump sum. And the other is to be able to get this at cost potentially or at some kind of discount than what you'd maybe pay when the goods are put into service. Low interest loans are also a good option if you're actually going to be putting this at a cost of capital as well. Another financing mechanism that is near and dear to my heart is the pre-competitive partnership or buyer coalition, where corporations aggregate demand for co-investment. So this can look like an equity investment in a startup technology or an aggregated offtake agreement, for example. The benefit here is many clean energy technologies are really expensive to get online, and we need them to have been commercialized yesterday. So pooling the investment not only gets these online faster, but it also collectively lowers the risk. Another benefit is that many of these companies have different efficiencies and resources internally. One may have an innovation team where they've really mastered vendorization processes. Another may have a facility that development can happen at, so there's some cost savings there as well. My last financing mechanism is monetizing transferable tax credits. We've talked about this in a previous episode, as they're great for commercializing up-and-coming technologies like hydrogen, nuclear fission and fusion, anaerobic digestion, and carbon sequestration. The Trump administration has put a pause on IRA grants and loans, but transferable tax credits have not been impacted. We believe this is because it's been a really positive thing for markets and developments in both red and blue states. A great example of this is the same example I brought up earlier with Google and Holocene, where Holocene, through their activities, qualify for the 45Q carbon sequestration tax credit and receive $180 per ton of carbon removed, which lowers the net cost for Google as well. So how this would work is Holocene generates a $180 tax credit, and someone with a tax liability, like a Google, can purchase that tax credit and use their tax liability rather than paying out of pocket. So they're going to be paying that funding anyway to the IRS. Instead, they're able to use that funding and pay it directly to the developer of this startup technology. For more information on this, please watch our previous episode of ClimateTech Roundup. I believe it was episode 2, and click on the article in the notes below. Thanks for tuning in. I'm really looking forward to our next episode where we'll have special guest, my wonderful colleague, Will Sarney, join us to talk about water and nature tech. So please be sure to stay in the loop. If you have any questions for me, as always, reach out to kat@earthfinance.com and check out our previous episodes to get all caught up. Thanks so much.